geoscience community writ large has been a critical part of the nation's defense for many, many decades now. When we look at the intersection between national security and geosciences, one of the things I get asked sometimes is, why should we care? And better understanding where are we vulnerable, how to lessen those vulnerabilities is huge. And the only way we can do that is by having a foundational, rock-solid physical understanding of what that battle space, what that terrain, that environment that we're going into is. The USGS believes that there are large quantities of oil, primarily off Alaska, and natural gas off Alaska, Canada, Norway, and the Barents Sea, and especially off of Russia. In addition to that, there's huge deposits of minerals, either onshore in the Arctic as well as in the offshore. But in addition to the physical part, we see the geopolitics changing. Again, the Arctic is not a vacuum. What's happening in global prices will affect the rate and speed of development up in the Arctic. But when and if oil prices come back up into triple digits, those reserves are still there and they'll start looking attractive again.
Involved in the political process. Well, from the oil and gas standpoint, the geoscientists are really the ones who are controlling what is going on as far as the extraction of the oil and gas from the earth. From a national security standpoint, I think it's incredibly important. You know, we're a very developed country. Everyone has a car, everyone has a house with electricity, and so it's really important that we have energy security, that we can continue to fuel our country and do it in an economically viable way. So that everyone can share in these resources, and the best way to do that is from within our own country rather than relying on importing these resources from countries that may or may not be friendly with our policies.
Space weather refers to the changes in the space environment produced by changes on the sun. In the orbit of communication satellites, the radiation levels can change by a factor of 10,000 in the space of just an hour. Those kinds of changes in the environment can have really significant effects on our technology, both in space and here on ground. Most people don't realize that changes in the solar environment can actually affect electricity here on Earth. Our power transmission grids are potentially vulnerable to space weather storms, and things like GPS communication. And everybody knows that our military is very dependent on GPS. In fact, GPS was first developed by the DoD for those kinds of applications. So when we have natural denial of GPS lock, we lose a huge technological advantage that we have, and it does affect our national security. So we need to be able to predict these things.
Here we are 180 miles upstream from where this mighty river flows past our nation's capital. But as it flows from the Appalachian Mountains behind me, past cities and farmland, it receives pollutants from urban runoff, farm runoff, sewage treatment plants, acid rain. But thanks to the science that many members of the AGU and other scientific societies are conducting, we can inform policy so that those policies can help clean up this river. In fact, it has cleaned up in the last 20 years or so. You know, investment in science pays off to society, not only in terms of improved national security, but improved economic prosperity, human health, and environmental quality.